so I'm going down the rabbit hole. And I thought, well, I'm going to get a food allergy test, and so it came back positive to not just cow dairy, but all dairy, sheep's and goat milk and everything. And so that was like I was already thinking about doing it. And that was really the nail in the coffin for me. So I gave it a try, and sure enough, I mean, just in a matter of weeks, I literally couldn't believe it. My skin was totally clear. All the other issues had gone away. And so I was just totally sold. And, it was a bit more twofold than that, I guess. When you start looking, you find a lot more. The more I learned about the meat industry and the dairy industry, you don't ever think, we know about the meat industry and we know that the way the animals are treated, but you don't think that it's the same in the dairy industry. And when I found out that it's almost worse. So that became just another reason I thought, I just can't do this anymore.
What's up, Yogi Triathlete community? Welcome back to the show. We are Jess and BJ, and we're on a mission to create a better world. Part of the way we do that is by sharing meaningful conversations with the endurance sports world, interviews that we believe dive under the surface chat of the status quo, which we choke on, to allow the essence of our guests to shine through. The main ingredients of a better world, we believe, is living more of our unique truth, which allows us to be more of who we are, because there is no one like you, no one like me, and no one like our guest today. And when we live more of who we are and show our light to the world, we experience a life of less trying. Because at the end of the day, it takes no effort to be who you truly are, perfect and powerful. Christine Warren is with us today, and from the very little I have uncovered about her, I'm convinced she is somebody who continues to live her great truths and purpose in life. First as a classical musician, and now as a top age group, plant-based triathlete and nutritionist. She and I literally met via Instagram just a few days ago when she commented on a post of mine. The name sounded familiar. Actually, she doesn't know this. So a few clicks later, I realized I had been inadvertently tracking her all day at Ironman 70.3 Arizona as I was tracking our friend Brittany, who happens to be in the same age group. I loved her energy from those exchanges we had, and I did a little more digging, which led me to her website, her story, and soon I was left with a call in my heart to invite her on the show. So here we sit, sharing the mic with Christine just days after she claimed her first Ironman podium, which got her one step closer to her goal of winning her own age group at a 70.3. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. I have no idea where it's going to go. I'm following an intuitive hit, and well, that thing has never steered me wrong. So I'm feeling yet another epic chat on the horizon. And that said, let's dive in. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
So first of all, congratulations on your first podium. And we're going to get into your race experience. But we want to know a little bit about, and you've detailed it so well on your website, but for those of you who haven't read that, there's a little bit about some broken ankles and not taking your body for granted anymore. And those beautiful broken ankles somehow led you to the top tier of your age group in triathlon. So how did that all begin?
Yeah, thank you. Definitely, a weird story how I got here. But I grew up in Houston, and I was a musician my whole life. And I did sports a little bit as a kid. I did swim, like summer swim team, and loved that. Did tennis. My sister and I were really into horseback riding. So nothing really, I wasn't like a big sports kid, and nothing certainly triathlon related. But so I did music come college, got my bachelor's and master's in music, and then I moved out to LA. That's how I ended up out there to pursue my music career. Fast forward. So the horseback riding has been a part of my life. And I met my husband, and he thought, it's time, like, let's get some horses. We didn't have horses at the time. So we got our two beautiful horses, and I broke both of my ankles due to the same horse. So December of, 2015, I guess, it was the first time I broke my right ankle. And I was out for a ride by myself, and nothing major happened. I was just coming home, and I'd actually forgotten to tighten my cinch down, which was, duh. But I'm coming up the hill, and the horse spooked, and I didn't want to fall off, and I was on concrete, and I didn't want to fall on my arm because that would mean that I couldn't play my instrument at all. So I thought, okay, like I have to jump off. So I jumped off, just landed wrong, broke the ankle. And yeah, I'd never broken a bone before, and especially not something like an ankle where literally like you can't do much of anything. Just like all the things that you kind of take for granted, and walking, showering, going to the bathroom, getting dressed, all of these things are kind of taken away. So I was sitting around just thinking, oh, God, like I've really just not been using my body. And so I vowed when I got well, I thought, I'm going to do something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find it, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to use my body. I've got to do something. And I think I was clicking around on Facebook, and I saw an ad pop up for Orange Theory Fitness. I thought, okay, well, they'll give you a free class. So I thought, all right, I'll go to Orange Theory Fitness, whatever that is. So I go, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm not like, I didn't think I was an athlete, but I certainly thought that I would be able to get through a workout. And I was
You clearly didn't know anything about Orange Theory Fitness.
No, which maybe is a good thing, or it might not have gone. But I was I literally was so sore. I could hardly move for 3 days afterwards. And I was like, that was awesome. Like, okay, let's keep going to this. And yeah, they have the treadmill component of it. So I liked that. I liked the running. And that summer I thought, I'm going to do a 5K. I don't know if I can run 3 miles, but shoot, like, let's do it. Let's just like do a race, do a 5K. And I showed up. I did a little bit of outside running, off the Orange Theory treadmill, and showed up, and I ended up winning my age group of maybe 50 women. And that was sort of like, that was a really pivotal moment for me. And it sounds silly, but when they gave me my little medal, I cried. It was the first, and I realized, and thinking about it afterwards, it was the first time in so long that I felt like, I was like, I actually won something. I did this work, and I worked hard, and like, I won. Like I did something, I won, and nobody can take that away from you. So that was really cool. Fast forward a few months later, I was supposed to do a half marathon, and the weekend before that, the same horse, we're out, and he trips, and he falls all the way down, and he rolls over. So my leg got stuck under the saddle, and he rolled over, and I knew instantly. It was 10 months after I'd broken the first one, and I just knew I knew that I'd broken it again, and I was devastated because I had been in such a bad place with the first ankle, and I was thinking, things were going so well, and I was loving running, and I was so excited about feeling like I was getting started on this journey. And then it was all just in a second taken. I knew exactly what place I was going back to. And it was devastating. That second time around was even tougher. But yeah, I mean, it's truly, thinking about it now, I don't know if I would be doing triathlon if that hadn't happened to me. So, my husband always tells me everything happens for a reason. That horse came into our life for a reason, and that accident happened for a reason. And it's truly like the greatest accident. That's, if you can say that, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life, because that second one in particular just got me, got the fire burning.
Yeah. So you were saying like the second one was even tougher than the first one, but it sounds like it stoked your fire and increased your desire to get back out there.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, okay, running was great, but like you're sitting around then thinking, okay, now I've really got to do something epic when I can, let's God, just go out there and find an even bigger challenge when I can walk again, when I can run again. I loved swim team as a kid, and I was missing that swimming, and I was like, well, I like running, I like swimming. Let's do a triathlon.
Could you pull anything from that first? Because it was the same ankle, right?
It was the other ankle.
So
other ankle, same horse.
Same horse.
Yeah.
So could you pull anything? I know that the second time around, your initial thought is like, oh God, not again. But could you pull anything away from that first incident that helped you the second time around? Or were you just buried under grief and disappointment and frustration?
Oh man, maybe a little of both. I knew, because I had known the place that I was wanting to let myself go. And I was thinking I can't do that again. I can't put myself there. It's incredibly hard on your partner too. I can't put my husband there. Like, it's just, I guess I tried to be more positive. I I actually, on my crutches, I went out and I volunteered at the trail races instead of running. And I was like, well, I can't run, but I'll do something. I'll at least try to be active in the community and be a part of it until I can run again. So, I guess I just tried to be positive and just know what the process, I'd just been through the process. So, but there definitely were moments where I thought, why is this happening? I didn't know what was in store for me at the time. But, I guess the second time, a little of both. I was still kind of in a dark place, but I knew, the process at least.
And what you just said, like, I didn't know what was in store for me. And you kind of like, you made this gesture, like, like, oh my gosh, like had I known. And if we can just increase our ability to trust that, like your husband said, that everything happens for a reason. And I would even expand on that and say that everything happens for us and for our greatest good, even if it feels like broken bones and devastation, that it is for us. And, because of this, because you've got this sight now of like, my gosh, this is the greatest gift. This horse was a gift, came into my life. Do you feel like it has allowed you to trust more? That's
a good question. And I would say yes, but not just in that particular process, but just in what I've learned about myself through triathlon. And it's helped me evolve so much as a person. And it's given me, like, I've never really been a confident person in my life. And especially when you're in the music industry, you're an artist, and art is subjective, and you're always subject to criticism. And, you can think that your music is beautiful, but somebody else can tell you that it's not. So, triathlon really, just showed me something different and sort of allowed me to remember that I'm not just this musician. I'm something else too. And, sort of allowed me to untangle myself from that and just, pay attention to who I was outside of being a musician. And now I could, be this athlete. And so it taught me a lot. And I would certainly say that was one of the things it has taught me.
And I think to be a musician, like to be an artist like that, to be any kind of creator in this way where we're creating like what's moving through us, like you're creating and you're playing and it's moving through you. So it's going to have your unique twist to it. Like that requires a lot of courage and bravery. But I think what you're kind of shining a light on is that we can be courageous and brave, but we can also be insecure about it too.
Yeah, it's so funny because courageous and brave were two things that I never felt as a musician. But I guess you're right. Yeah, it certainly does. But there's always, and especially for me, I think like I'm kind of a shy person anyway. So there always was that insecurity about is it really good enough?
And then you do this 5K. And you win your age group and nobody's saying like, oh, well, you could have gone faster and your stride length could have been better or whatever. They're just like, here's your medal.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I thought nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can say that I didn't cross the finish line in that amount of time. You do the work and you get the results and that's it. And then you work harder and you see more results. And, yeah, it didn't ever feel like that in my music career.
Do you find similarities in the lead up and work that you put into being a musician and transferring that to your path now with triathlon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of lessons that music taught me. Actually, yeah, there's a lot of correlations, I think, in the way the training works and even the performing works that are very similar. And I think I do credit music for, I guess, teaching me that how to work hard. And it's the same thing with music. You spend a lot of time in a little practice room all by yourself, and it's you and it's the instrument. And so you have to be comfortable with that, and you have to be your own teacher, and you have to do the work or you don't see the results. So I'd say that definitely translated over to triathlon. And yeah, there are a lot of similar aspects in just if doing the work regardless of sometimes what the outcome is, and knowing that at the end of the day you've done the work, and that's that.
Yeah, the doing the work. We like to say it, doing the work for the sake of the work, not for the fruits of the action. So if you truly love what you do and are passionate about what you do, you could go and do it all day without any acknowledgement or a prize or anything like that. And getting to that level of, I mean, we're all working towards that level, I think, where we can do what we love no matter what happens, regardless of the end result. Then we're all going to find joy and happiness and more satisfaction in what we're actually doing in the moment. So the time in the room alone, the time on the trainer, like with your thoughts and just hammering away, the time when you're out this weekend on that run course and the heat is starting to increase and it's just you and your and that foot strike and what can you do next? Like just be in that joy. Do you find a lot of joy being in that environment?
In triathlon?
Yeah.
Yes, tremendous. Or I think I wouldn't continue to do it. Yeah. But it's funny too, because in the beginning, it's kind of scary to be out there, with yourself. I think a lot of us, and especially in this world, like we have so much stimulation and there's so much opportunity to, even when you are alone, you don't have to be alone ever anymore. So, yeah, at first it's a little scary, and then you're in your head a lot, like those little thoughts. And, but then, yeah, I think when you can find that place of joy where you do enjoy being alone and you do enjoy the conversations that you have with yourself, then yeah, it does become an incredibly joyful thing.
And you were probably scared, I'm assuming, when you started to pick up the instrument and were there for the first time, like, oh my God, how am I ever going to play this? Would you say that's true?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I will never forget getting, the instrument I play is the oboe. I'd played piano before that as a kid, but then I decided oboe was going to be my music path. And I will never forget trying to play a scale the first week and just like, oh, my poor family. Oh my goodness. Like, oh gosh. And oboe's a little bit harder. It has the double reed on it. So it took a long time. And similarly, probably triathlon or whatever path you're in, there are so many moments of doubt along the way too. When you think, is this really what I want to do? Why am I doing this? But it always comes back to that joy that we just talked about. And at the end of the day, it's worth it. Well,
that's it. That's the thread right there. It's no matter what we pursue, something new that we pursue, we're going to have some sense and level of fear. We're going to have some sense and level of doubt, no matter what it is. So we have two choices. We can either allow that to keep us away from trying something new, or we can continue, like you just said, in the music and triathlon, continue to meet these experiences, feel the fear, feel the doubt, notice that, but choose to keep moving forward to see if you can find some joy in it. And so that's the moment. That's the growth right there, when you can see that and appreciate that, because you can apply it to anything that you come across. The moving across, to Dallas, the the job, your ankles, like it doesn't matter what it is. You can keep pulling that thread of, okay, well, this is just like before. It was unknown, it was fearful, and I'm going to move forward. And that's powerful.
Yeah. And then accepting it as kind of a challenge to, not let it get the best of you, and then challenging yourself. Okay, well, what can I do? What am I in control of here? And how do I make the best of it?
Yeah. So let's talk about your triathlon career. Your first triathlon, I believe, was in 2017, and you had great success. You finished 5th overall. You qualified for your age group nationals. So it's like, were you like, whoa, okay, I found I was good at running, and I can swim, and now I can do this too. You put all three together. So where does it go from there?
Yeah. I think it's also important to say, because I think this is hilarious and I like to laugh at myself, but I showed up on that day and looked at the ocean and just started bawling. My husband was like, no, don't cry. Like, you can do this. And I just, I was just like terrified and excited and full of nerves. And so I was like standing there on the start line crying. But once I got going, it worked out. But I just...
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. But I had done a free program out in Long Beach, and I'd rented the bike and the wetsuit and stuff because I thought, well, I think I will like this, but let's see if I do really like it, and I'm good at it, and I want to work hard at it. And yeah, after that first race, I was just on that high, I'm done with the race, and I love it. So I hired a local coach immediately because I knew, that I really wanted to be serious about it. So I started there. And, the path became, moving up to Olympic distance because I did age group nationals, I guess, that first year. And that was a good experience. And then I was very, very intimidated by Ironman, very intimidated. Everybody said, oh, when are you going to do, a half or a full? And I said, well, never. I mean, I can't do that. So, eventually though, I kind of was like, well, yeah, the more comfortable I got with it, I thought, okay, maybe I can do this. So, I made another coaching change by that point. My coach was fine, but I wanted to, at that point I thought, okay, now I really want to be serious about this. I want to dedicate more time. I want to get a better bike, do the whole deal, see what I can do. So found a great coach, and, he kind of said, I said, well, I want to do age group nationals, but I want to do this half Ironman thing too. And he's like, well, you should probably focus on one over the other. And so I thought, well, I will try half Ironman. I will just try it because I knew also the way that I'm built. I'm not built for speed. That is not my forte. So I knew, and I wanted to be competitive. I'm a competitive person. So I knew that Olympic distance was just too fast for me. I don't think I was ever really going to get to the top of that. So, but I thought, well, half marathon, everything is just a step lower. I thought, well, maybe this distance will be a little bit better for me. Prepared for Oceanside in, what was that? 2019? Oh my gosh. It was last year. Yeah. So Oceanside. Was
that your first half Ironman was last year?
It was. Yeah.
First time they had it in the ocean in a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was some good waves in there too. I remember we were there. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily I'd been practicing. So I was in Orange County at the time. So, it was okay. But yeah, so Ironman, Oceanside last year, 2019 was my first half. And same thing, just loved it. Love. So that was it. I was hooked.
And then you qualified for Nice last year, but did you qualify at Oceanside? Because you did Santa Rosa too, right?
I did. My second race was Chattanooga, actually.
Chattanooga.
And that's where I qualified. Yeah.
Awesome.
Which was just beyond. I had no idea. I got a roll down slot, but I thought, oh my gosh, it was not even on my radar.
What did you place in your age group at Chattanooga?
I was 6th.
Okay. Yeah, just for those people who are like outside the podium going, will I ever get a roll down? Like, it's possible. You'll get a roll down.
Yeah.
100% you'll get one. Yes. You play sixth long enough, you're going to get one.
I placed sixth at La Quinta, and I got another roll down spot to Taupo, which is not happening. But so yes, sixth place, you can get a roll down.
That's awesome. So you went and raced World Championship last year in Nice. How did that go?
Oh man, that was just an experience of a lifetime. I still get chills when I think about it. It was just so fantastic to do that. I was not, and I will claim, I think I'm still not a great biker. That's definitely my weakness, and it's something I'm still working on. So I went in with a little bit of a different mindset. I was not there to, get on the podium. It just wasn't going to happen. That bike course was so killer. So I just went and I wanted to do my best. I wanted to make it up the bike course, like at all. That was definitely a concern if I could even do it. But wow, what an experience. I had a really good race. The water was beautiful. The bike course was, who gets to, race in the French mountainside? It was just unreal. It was, man, I loved it.
How did you feel like, it sounds like you have a high level of joy and gratitude. And did you feel good about your results and your times and all of that?
I did. I was, I think 130th maybe. So that's nothing to write home about, but I thought, and I was just proud that I did it. I was just proud to have gone, and I was proud. I will tell you that the most incredible thing about that race is that the 70 to 74-year-old women went the age group before me. So we're climbing the Col de Vence with these 70-year-old women that are just laughing and having a good time and making jokes. And I was like, this is literally what it's all about, is like doing this race with 70-year-old women. And I was like, if I can be that badass when I'm 70, oh my gosh, like that's what this sport is about. So I think that is the coolest moment about that race for me.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
And being so competitive, how do you work through that relationship of not getting attached to the times? Because Jess just asked you flat out and you were just like joy, like so happy. But how do you work that process of not getting attached to numbers, but being competitive and doing your best? How do you do that?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, at the end of the day, it always comes down to besting myself. And so even going into this race at Arizona, of course, I had been sixth place at my last three races. So of course I wanted to be fifth place. That was definitely on my mind, but I wasn't thinking I have to get on the podium. I have to get on the podium. I was thinking, if I can get a few more watts out of my bike, that's a win. If I can focus on not losing my breath in the swim and staying calm and keeping my catch deep, that was the win for me of that race. And on the run, if I could, if that one for me, I love the run. So I was like, oh yeah, if I could PR myself, that'll be great. But I think, all competitiveness aside, at the end of the day, for me, it's the competition with myself. So I think I would be more, if I got on the podium, if I won the age group, but I hadn't felt like I had performed my best, or I hadn't, performed at the capabilities I felt that I had, I would be disappointed.
Yeah. And I love all those little wins, right? And we know this, like we've heard this before. It's like, it's the little wins, but like if my catch is deep, that's a win. If I can eke out a couple more watts, that's a win. And, I love that, because then you get these victories all along the way, and you get little celebrations all along the way. I hear BJ talk to our athletes about that all the time, like celebrating all the time. Every workout's a celebration. There's little victories everywhere in our life. Like the three of us got up today and all of our limbs were working. Like we've already won, like hell, we've already won. So let's jump to Arizona. Because it's so fresh. And, during the race at all, Did you have any moments where before we got it turned on, hit the record button, we were kind of talking about that little voice in the head. Did you have any of that little voice in the head that you kind of had to contend with at all during the day? And how do you do that?
Badly at this race.
Good question then.
Good question. And I think I was so nervous for this race. And I think it was a lot of things. We had just moved, there's the chaos of moving. I just started with a new coach in October. I had a new bike. I hadn't raced since December of last year. There was just so many things. I wanted to do well. I had no idea what was going to happen. I took 2 months off over the summer, and I thought either this horribly will hurt me and affect me, or it'll be fine. So I was super nervous. Yeah, I think the swim and the bike went pretty well. And I think dealing with that voice comes down to, for me at least, is practicing dealing with that voice. So during my training, I don't usually listen to music or listen to anything. I don't ever run with music because I want to be present and I want to go through that process and have those thoughts. And then I feel like that's the mental training that's just as important as, okay, you're on a run and you remind yourself of those physical cues. Okay, foot placement and being tall and arms or whatever they may be for you. But you have to also practice the mental cues of when you have that thought, what are you going to replace it with? How do you, because they're going to happen. You can't go out and say that you're not going to have those thoughts, or well, maybe somebody can, but I don't know.
They're lying.
Yeah, they're
lying.
It happens to everyone. So yeah, I think it's something that you just have to practice as much as you do the physical part of it. So for me in Arizona, the run was really tough. It was hot. It was dusty. It was lonely. You'll probably agree that backside. I mean, at one point I had to ask somebody if I was going the right way. There was nobody out there. So it was very lonely course. And that's when those thoughts, they keep telling you to stop or slow down, or you could stop. Yeah. You could just stop right now. You could slow down. And I think the minute you have them, at one point I saw my husband, I said, I think I went out too hard. And I was like, no, I had to. So immediately sometimes I speak out loud to myself, and I just said, you did not go out too hard. Yeah, your legs hurt, but you don't have to slow down. And so it's just learning how to replace them and literally just not giving into it. And just saying, well, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, and I think that's where we really need to apply our will, right? That same will that gets us out of bed when it's chillier outside and the bed's for whatever reason 10 times more comfortable than it's ever been, We have to use our will to get our butts out of bed and get it going, and we really have to use that will. I do the same thing that you do. I'll talk talk aloud out to myself, and I'll be like, let it go. Let it go. And then the voice is like, no, you can't let it go because of 100 different reasons why. No, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I will replace all those thoughts with just 3 words. Let it go. Just let it go. Don't listen to that. It's not true. It's not true. It's the truth is going to be whatever I believe it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I would say 95% of my run was that conversation. Was just the battle. I wouldn't have, it's funny. I remember telling my coach and writing in my race report, that even though this run was a PR for me, I would not call this my best run. It didn't feel good. I didn't feel strong. So there's sometimes it seems so much more mental than it is actually even physical.
Yeah, and there's so much more to it than the time. There's so much more going on than just the time. And the time is just one data point, and to hang our hat on a time and push, the experience aside, I think, we'd be remiss to do that. We got to take it all in. What
did you take away from the run? Because to that, not having the quote good run, like I feel we learn so much more from the runs that and I'm just talking specifically running because it's your jam, but when it doesn't come to that perfect execution, what can you pull away from it? What did you pull away from Sunday's run?
I think just that I am capable of more. That run for me was kind of a huge, I was trusting that my training and my legs and my body were going to do it when my mind was kind of saying, eek, I don't know if we can do this. So for me, it was just a great reinforcement that I could do it. I could do it even when it didn't feel good, even when I wanted to stop, even when I wanted to cry. I did it and I didn't stop. So it's just like, yeah, you you did it. And just, but also a chance to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, you did this and it didn't feel great. Now, what can you do when you do feel good, or next time around? How do we grow from this experience and go back to training and yeah, make it better for the next time.
Did you know that you were in a podium spot position?
I did, yeah, because actually the people at the aid stations were telling me what place I was in as I came through. Thanks for that.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And then my mom did tell me. I thought I was in sixth place, actually. The last I heard, I was in sixth place, and my husband said, "You got to pick it up." And I was like, That's when I told him, I said, I think I went out too hard. So I actually did not know that I was in fourth. I thought I was in sixth.
And so when did you find out that you had claimed your first podium? Was that at the finish line or before that?
Yeah, it wasn't until I saw my husband at the end of the finish line that he told me.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Oh my gosh. It's great. It was so bittersweet though, because I knew there were no awards.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, this is amazing. I broke my sixth place streak. And yeah, it's fantastic. I that was my goal for the year, was to get on the podium. I wanted to get my first podium. So it was great. Yeah. But also sad. I told my husband, I said, can you make me a podium and just give me an award? So I
know. Beach got his first podium last year at Santa Cruz, and on the way home, he got sixth place this year. And I said, well, at least you got to stand on the stage. So, which you did not get to do. I know, right?
Yeah, that's COVID.
Yeah. So speaking of the guru of COVID, how do you feel like, because we've been getting a lot of questions, maybe you have as well. How did you feel like Ironman did in navigating all the COVID restrictions, and how did it feel as an athlete?
Yeah, I felt like they did a great job. And I saw one post from Triathlete Mag on, I think it was Instagram in particular, and people were just bashing them. And I thought, what? First of all, these people weren't there. They're just going off a picture. But I really, I think they did a great job. I never felt unsafe. They had so many protocols in place, down to having gloves at the bike pumps in the mornings. I mean, they went over and beyond. I thought the whole process was very easy, very well done. They want to get back to racing just as badly as everybody else does. And I think people have been really hard on them, but they're a business too. They were struggling just like everybody else. And they could have canceled all these races and just not given our money back, but they didn't. But yeah, I think they did a great job. I thought everything was literally, I can't think of another thing that they could have done better. I felt safe. My family felt safe as spectators. And I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, we totally agree with that too. And I agree with you too that, people have been a little harsh on Ironman this year. It's like Ironman has this personal vendetta against athletes or something like that. And so that would be something that I would say, let it go. Let it go, because it is also the very business that allows so many of us to pursue dreams and realize those and reach our goals and get out of bed when a lot of people won't get out of bed. And so, yeah, I would say that, changing those thoughts around that and shifting them more into gratitude and joy. I was so joyful. I didn't race, but I was so joyful to see people racing. At one point on the run, there was this guy running and he's just had this kind of like, I'm going to die face on. And I said, remember how grateful we all are to be here. And he just said, thank you. Like, I needed to remember that. I forgot that, and I felt just a heightened level of joy and gratitude from everyone. And I think the volunteers deserved 100 times more thank yous, because they're standing out there in 95-degree heat with masks on. But I agree. I think Ironman, they took the white glove over COVID and they covered everything. I think they did an excellent job.
I agree. Yeah.
So you're doing all of this. I mean, it's just so crazy. You're doing all of this as a plant-based athlete.
Yeah. The two kind of went hand in hand for me. I found fitness, and at the same time, the reason I ended up going plant-based was because in my surgery for my ankle, the doctor came out and he said, I was 30 at the time, and he said, for somebody your age and in relatively good health, your bones are really soft. And I thought, what? I thought I was a healthy person. I was like, how is this possible? So it just led me to go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out now what is health. There's obviously this, general idea about what health is, but I thought I want to know what health is truly from the inside out. I thought I was healthy. How can I truly be my healthiest self from the inside out?
That's it. I like, that's an interesting entrance into it. What did your nutrition look like prior to that? Because everyone thinks you need to drink milk and eat dairy to have strong bones.
I did. Yeah. And that's the culture that we were raised. That's how our parents were raised. That's how we were raised. And it's just something that it's a truth that you have. So yeah, was I vegetarian? I was vegetarian for a lot of years when I was younger. And then I went back to eating meat. And then I think I went back to being vegetarian, but I was definitely eating all the dairy. And I was drinking a lot more at the time, which I don't drink much anymore. So I wasn't taking care of myself truly. Now that I look back at it, I thought that I was, but I wasn't. So, the more I started learning about nutrition, the more doors opened and the more I saw, and I thought, whoa, this is so different from what I thought and what we're being told. So you really have to do your own digging, I found. And so, I went and got my fitness nutrition certification. I did the Cornell plant-based, nutrition certification, and I was fascinated. I was totally fascinated by nutrition. I still am. And the more I learned about meat and dairy, I just thought, gosh, I don't know if this is really the right thing for me. And I was having a lot of issues that I just thought were normal. And I think that's another thing that we're just in the habit of thinking that all these things that are happening to us are normal. Like I always had really bad skin. I had terrible acne as a kid, and even into adulthood, into that time when I was 30, I had bad skin. I was having GI problems, constipation, just, constant congestion. And there were things I thought, well, I'm like allergic to my cat or something. I don't know.
That sounds like dairy.
Yeah. But I had no idea.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever told me that. And so I'm going down the rabbit hole and I thought, well, I'm going to get a food allergy test, and so it came back positive to not just cow dairy, but all dairy, sheep's and goat milk and everything. And so that was like I was already thinking about doing it. And that was really the nail in the coffin for me. So I gave it a try, and sure enough, just in a matter of weeks, I literally couldn't believe it. My skin was totally clear. All the other issues had gone away. And so I was just totally sold. And, it was a bit more twofold than that, I guess. When you start looking, you find a lot more. The more I learned about the meat industry and the dairy industry, you don't ever think we know about the meat industry and we know that the way the animals are treated. But you don't think that it's the same in the dairy industry. And when I found out that it's almost worse. So that became just another reason I thought I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Did you stop cold? Did you just stop having cheese and dairy like immediately, and eggs and all that?
Pretty much. I would say it was a little bit of trial and error. So I meant to, but then I wouldn't read a package, and then I was like, oh dang it, there was some milk powder or something in there. So it was a little bit of a process. But yeah, that was pretty much it for me.
Were there some resources or documentaries that were turning points for you that you would recommend for people to check out if they're curious?
Yeah, a great one for me, and this isn't really like a novel, but the China study was just so informative, and I that one sold me. Proteinaholic was a great story and book. Scott Jurek's books were really inspirational. I think more recently, like Game Changers, I thought that was really well done. What the Health? I will tell you, in total honesty, I didn't make it through Earthlings. I made it 20 minutes and I was bawling my eyeballs out, and I just had to try. I couldn't do it.
You and me both. I couldn't do it either.
Oh, I couldn't do it. Yeah, I think those were the big ones for me.
Yeah. So for recovery, let's talk about your recovery from Arizona, but both nutrition. Like, how did you start recovering that day? Because I've seen you already, like, you were moving the next day. And so I'm assuming you're coaching now with Ryan Bolton. Mm-hmm. And we've had some of his athletes on the podcast, present athletes and athletes that he's worked with in the past. Yeah. How does your recovery look as a plant-based triathlete?
Immediately, I loved this race. I don't know if you guys got a hold of the vegan burritos, but they were awesome.
BJ, what? Are you kidding me?
I missed it. I missed the boat.
Vegan burrito. I thought the only place that had at
Santa Rosa
had the vegan paella.
That was Gerard's. That was so good. Yeah.
So, BJ, had we known you then, Christine, you would have directed us to the vegan burritos. So you had a vegan burrito. Good for you.
I did. You know what was funny? I walked up to the table, and the guys who were preparing them behind, I was standing there looking at the table, and the guy said, "Are you looking for a vegan one?" And I said, "Well, yes, I am." I said, "How did you know?" He's like, "Yeah, usually the vegans walk up and stare at the table."
Or they just don't go to the table. Okay, now we know. Ironman is turning
That's
the times.
Amazing.
I love that.
That is so amazing. I'm so bummed I missed it.
Oh, yeah. So I went for the vegan burrito because I had a bunch of black beans and stuff in there. So I always, you don't really feel like eating afterwards, but I've made the mistake before where I'm like, oh, I felt great, I'm not going to eat anything. And that's the worst thing you can do. So I got my vegan burrito. I made myself just drink a ton of electrolytes that day. I'm a pretty salty sweater. So if I don't replenish my electrolytes, especially on a hot day like that, I will feel really miserable. So recovery. I actually read an article recently that was talking about optimal recovery. And they were actually saying that a lot of people slam a bunch of protein all at once afterwards. And that's actually, your body actually is not able to absorb it all. And they were saying that they've done all these studies that actually, if you will eat a smaller amount with protein once every maybe 4 hours, so you're eating 4 times each hour, that's actually a better way for your body to absorb the nutrition and the protein. So that was kind of my philosophy. So just, ate and drank immediately after. And then I just make myself throughout the rest of the day, even if I'm not hungry, I will make myself continue to drink the electrolytes and water and eat throughout the rest of the evening. I was feeling recovery was a little bit difficult, even with those things in place. I was a bit overheated for the rest of the day. And the next morning, I actually didn't feel great, but always a recovery swim the next morning kind of shakes things out a little bit. So I guess that's what recovery looked like for this race.
Yeah, so active recovery, physically active recovery, as opposed to just lying on the couch and not moving.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
What do you see in athletes when are you working or helping other athletes with their nutrition?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you see as a common thing with athletes in nutrition? Like a common flaw or
opportunity.
Opportunity. It's a good word.
To be better.
Under fueling is the most common thing that I see. And ironically, I actually see it more in men than I do in women. I'll take a look at their breakfasts and they're about to go pound out a 2-hour, bike ride with a brick run, and they're eating an egg and a piece of toast. And I'm just like, mind blown. Like, what? How are you going to make it through your workout like that? So, I would say that under fueling, and maybe just not even just under fueling for workouts, but not eating enough throughout the day, is probably the biggest thing that I see.
Do they have a rationale for it, or some sort of mindset belief that they are adequately fueled and they just haven't really accounted for what they're taking in, or they just don't know clearly how much they're consuming?
I think part of it, I don't think it's that they don't know what they're consuming. I think actually it's a fear of gaining weight, is the biggest thing that I hear. Because we do have to eat a lot. And there are a lot of people coming over to triathlon from other sports, or actually I've worked with a couple of people that have come over from bodybuilding, and it's a totally different mentality. And so I'm always trying to tell them, you have to eat to fuel your workouts. You have to eat to fuel recovery. You have to fuel your body, or you're never going to achieve everything that you can. So, some of them, they just don't understand, like, I'm burning 3,000 calories on this bike ride, and they just don't think that a peanut butter and jelly and a couple of gels, they're like, oh, that's fine. So there's definitely that.
Yeah. So let's talk about you, like, as somebody who's well-versed in nutrition, who is competing at the top of their age group at this 70.3 distance. What does a day for you look like for nutrition and your workouts? Like, what does that all look like?
Yeah. Okay. So every morning I have a pretty big breakfast. Lately it's been probably like 3 pieces of toast, nut butter, fruit, and coffee. So something really hearty that's going to get me through my first workout. So it's usually, I like to do the harder ones up front just to get them over with. So, it's probably like a 2-hour bike or a hard run or something. So then,
and then are you taking in calories during the workout too?
It depends. If it's over an hour and a half, yes. I will usually on the backside have just like a little something to get me through, or have, like I use Infinite products, and I can create a blend of electrolytes that does have, like maybe 50 calories or 100 calories in it, just to sort of supplement that. So it kind of depends on the intensity in the workout. But then after that, so I would say I eat like two times. So I'll have second breakfast, as I call it, after that. So that's more protein based, but carbs and protein. And then I'll have lunch. And then some days I'll lift weights in the afternoon. And then I'll have, I guess, mid-afternoon snack meal. I don't know. I don't really call them meals or snacks because they're all kind of the same size. They're just.
And what do they look like? What does second breakfast look like? What does lunch look like typically? What are some of your favorites?
Second breakfast might be, I like protein. I'll put vegan protein in my oatmeal. So I might have oatmeal after that with some more fruit and protein or a protein smoothie. So those are some things I would eat for second breakfast, or like banana on toast or something. Then lunch is pretty hearty, usually grains, greens, maybe some tofu or something, pasta, some pasta and vegetables, something like that. It kind of depends also on what I'm doing for the rest of the day. So, and I think that's something that I'm always thinking, what am I doing for the rest of the day and what kind of fuel do I need? So then mid-afternoon, say I was to have a long swim, a hard swim, or like some days I'll do a bike and then a hard run in the evening, I would do maybe like cashew yogurt with some granola. So something that's, a bit more sugary, more carbs, but that's really going to fuel me for this hard effort that I have coming up. If I don't have a harder day, then maybe something lighter, like a salad with, or like avocado toast or something like that. And then dinner, I don't know. Dinner's always different, but it's always hearty. I know that. I'm a big fan of Green Chef, which is one of those meal prep kits. They're USDA and they're organic, and I'm totally obsessed with them. So that kind of helps. So dinner's, I don't know, just a bigger version of lunch. Grains, greens, vegetables, some sort of protein.
Yeah, you're eating a lot. You're taking in a lot of calories.
Ton.
That's awesome. And that's what we need to be doing.
We do. And it's, gosh, I talk to so many people about this and just always try to be sharing what I'm eating and just saying, look, like I'm eating a ton, and I'm a small person. And that's the point that I make to a lot of people. I say, look, I'm eating this much. Like, just think you're a foot taller than me. You weigh 50 more pounds than me. Think about like literally how much you have to be eating as endurance athletes.
Yeah.
How does hydration play into all that? Like, how much do you consume? Would you guesstimate? We've had a team challenge where we're like trying to get people to drink, and I think the minimum was 80 ounces last month of liquid, so tea, sports drink, and water. So, and a lot of people realized they weren't drinking enough. So, how does it play into your daily nutrition?
I don't really have a goal in mind. I definitely I always have fluids during workouts, swim too. I think a lot of people forget about that. You have to you're still sweating in the pool, so feel or have your hydration there. This is kind of gross, but I kind of just keep an eye on my urine. And if it's clear to light yellow, I'm doing a good job. And if it's not, I need to drink more. So honestly, I don't know. I don't think I could give you an answer.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's you're letting your body tell you, right? Like, it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. But that in and of itself, whether it's watching your urine or doing a team challenge, like, it's bringing awareness to it, and that's the most important thing, that you're aware of it. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
What's next? Yeah, what's next? Where's the next? Is there another race?
Well, we know what's next.
Yeah, I have. I had a deferral and I chose Texas 70.3. So that's what's next. Yeah. So that's the weekend before Thanksgiving. Yeah. I'm also I'll like go. I've never admitted this or said this out loud to anybody but my husband, but I'm actually doing my Ironman certification right now, and I signed up to do the USAT certification. So I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe I'll go down the coaching career path. So
I love it. That's amazing. You could offer so much, like with your nutrition and everything. That's amazing.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm going to hold on to them and just, I feel like I need to educate myself more, but maybe that's next. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Just keep following the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You haven't done Galveston before?
No.
We got some intel from our friend who has done it. And what did she say, BJ?
It's awesome. I mean, the bike, nothing like Arizona. So it's like, it's out one way and then back the other way, just straight. No stop signs, no turns, nothing.
And it's flat, right?
And it's flat.
Like super flat.
And she loved the swim. She said the swim was awesome in the bay there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to put the hammer down.
Yeah. Throw it down.
We'll see.
And we'll see if BJ's going to be there.
Yeah, maybe there.
Who
Who knows?
Cool. Yeah.
And how do people follow you? How do they get a hold of you? What if they want to work with you for nutrition? How do they do that?
Yeah, so they can find me, the place I'm most active is on Instagram, and they can find me at christine.m.warren. I also have a website, cmwsbr.com. I've got my blog up on there and kind of just more about my story and my race schedule. And I do my nutrition through Mana Endurance, so they can find them online as well. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our chat, and I appreciate you sharing so much. And we always love it when people share things that they've never told anybody before. So we will be seeing your coaching enterprise, I'm sure, in some time in the future. But you're amazing. Congratulations on an incredible race in Arizona. And you've got a lot more coming your way.
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. Yeah, it was great speaking with you, and funny how life threw us together last weekend.
I know. Yeah, we put this together, girl.
Yes.